Tosses a gem at Yankee Stadium. The Tigers come home with a little more than they even bargained for. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tigers Live. That's right. Tigers coming back to Detroit with a 2-0 series lead over the Yankees. 3-0 the final. They shut out the Yanks at Yankee Stadium. Craig Monroe, Rod Allen, and Mario Impemba are all here in the studio. And Simo, we'll start with you. You said the Tigers had to be greedy and come home with 2 wins. You got it.
They were absolutely greedy. What a pitcher's domination. I mean, these guys have been pitching outstanding. Came up with some big hits. Guys coming off the bench. Garcia doing well. Now they come home to where they play really good baseball. Yankees are in trouble.
And I think they got a guy named Verlander on the mound when they do get home, Mario.
Yeah, they do, and that's really good news because the Tigers now have a really good shot of going up 3-0 in this series, and then it might be lights out for the New York Yankees. But I'm with Simo, man. The pitching in this series and even in the postseason for the Tigers has been unbelievable. Rod, when you look at what the pitchers have done, a 0.94 ERA in 7 games, the starting pitching for Detroit has just been lights out.
It's kept them in a lot of games, that much is for sure, but you also have to give a lot of credit to a lot of the table setters. When you start to look at what Barry has meant, what Kelly did in the appearance that he got, Infante all series long, very well played series so far for the Tigers, but they still have some work to do.
That they do, but they do have that 2-0 series lead. Let's look at how they got it by taking a peek at today's highlights presented by Wallside Windows. Hiroki Kuroda pitching on just 3 days rest, but you wouldn't have known it. Struck out the side in the second, struck out 7 of the first 9 he faced. And Anibal Sanchez, well, he was unfazed. He was nearly as good in this one as well, as you continue to watch Kuroda make fine work of the Tigers. But as we mentioned, Anibal Sanchez dealing as well today, gets A-Rod on strikes for the second time in the ballgame. Curtis Granderson batting in the 5th goes down swinging. Then he retires Nick Swisher, and we were scoreless through 5. To the 6th we go. Sanchez facing Martin with runners on the corners. It's a slow roller to Johnny Peralta. He don't need no stinking glove. Peralta gets Martin at first to get out of the jam. To the 7th, Tigers threatening now. Runners on the corners, 1 out for Delman Young. Bounces to Jason Nix at short, but Cano can't turn the double play. Barry scores, and the Tigers take a 1-0 lead. Yankees try to get it back in the bottom of the 7th, but with 2 outs and Granderson on second, Sanchez deals here, Rod.
Well, Sanchez was dirty with that changeup today. He was also fearless with it. He threw that pitch whenever he wanted to for a strike.
Tigers looking to add to the lead in the 8th. Austin Jackson singles to right. Swisher with a strong throw to second and catches Omar Infante leaking too far off a second. Or does he, Simo?
Umpire missed this one, but you know what? If you're a Tiger fan, you have to be excited because the guys took advantage of it and came up with a big knock to get some insurance run.
That's right. You get a break, you got to take advantage, and they do. Avisail Garcia pinch hitting, hits a bloop single to right off Boone Logan. That scores Infante. The Tigers take a 2-0 lead. Girardi would come out to lift Logan, and while he was there, he shared his displeasure with Nelson. Girardi tossed for the 4th time this year. They've all been against the Tigers. After Girardi leaves, the Tigers continue to cash in on the blown call. Miggy slaps one to right. That scores Austin Jackson, and the Tigers were up 3-0. Who's going to close this thing out? It's Phil Koch. In fact, he went not 1 but 2 innings. Gets Curtis Granderson to strike out to end it. He's been sensational so far in this postseason. The Tigers looking good in the Big Apple, coming home up 2-0 in this best of 7 with 3 straight now looming at Comerica Park as we take a look at today's Honda game summary. 8 hits for the Tigers today. They knocked out 23 in the 2-game series despite striking out a season-high tying 13 times today. Miggy had 2 hits today. He's now reached base safely in 18 straight postseason games, tying Hake Greenberg for the franchise record. The Tigers pitchers, by the way, combined to hold the Yankees to just 4 hits today. Mario, Rod, and Simo back with us now after a playoff record of 15 hits last night. The Tigers didn't get a whole lot today. In fact, they didn't get their first hit until the 5th. For Hiroki Kuroda to do what he did was certainly impressive on just those 3 days rest. But Simo, Anibal Sanchez was even better.
He was, and he's been good, Mickey, for the last 3 or 4 outings, especially what he did in Oakland. He talks about how he has success and what allows him to have this kind of success. He pitches ahead in the strike zone, and he did just that again today. Take a look at what he did in Game 3 in the ALDS. He was pitching ahead, getting ahead, spotting that fastball, and just to give him some more credit, hasn't been getting a lot of runs, but you know what he did? He said, "Oh, I'm going to go out and do the same thing." He was stellar again today, throwing his fastball, opening up the outside part of the plate, being able to throw that changeup to keep these guys off balance. When Sanchez is getting ahead in the strike, guys to chase, and he was stellar.
and was masterful getting the final 6 outs of the game. Just a tremendous outing by Phil Koch. And Mario, you brought it up. Here's a guy that struggled during the course of the regular season. They didn't know how they would use him or when they would use him, and he comes up big in one of the biggest situations, arguably, of the year for him.
And Mick, keep in mind also that Phil Koch started his career with the New York Yankees. He's used to pitching in Yankee Stadium, the old one and the new one, so he was not intimidated at all by his action today.
No, he wasn't. And you know what? Who else hasn't been intimidated so far in the series? Johnny Peralta, having a great playoff so far at the plate and especially in the field. And as we send you back to Yankee Stadium, he's standing by with John Keating.
All right, Mick, thanks. We didn't think we were going to see a hit for a long while until your single broke up Hiroki Kuroda's perfect game. How much worry was there in your dugout?
The dugout is every time positive, you know. I know Kuroda threw a good game, but, you know, we try to be focused and you know, we got this game.
Did it allow your team to breathe a little bit once you got that out of the way?
Yeah, I think so. They breathe, you know, everybody breathe. You know, like I said, we're positive. I know he's doing really good, Kuroda, but we try to win this game no matter what.
Some sparkling defensive plays for you as well. How important is that part of your game to your team's success right now?
You know, I think so. The defense that I'm doing right now is help a lot. You know, I make a stop, I score for them, and, you know, I'm doing really good defense right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's Johnny Peralta. He had 2 of the Tigers' 8 hits here in the Bronx tonight, Mick.
All right, John, thank you. And Mario and Rod, the Tigers did finally cash in the 7th inning, got that run across the plate. And at that point in the game, with the way Kuroda was going, that was no small feat.
No, it wasn't a small feat, and it looked like for a long time the Tigers might not only not get a hit, but a run in this ball game. And you got to give them some credit because when they have needed to the most in this series, Rod, they've been able to kind of put together a couple of hits, scratching a run, then scratching another run. We know runs are at a premium in this series, but anything they can get has helped, especially with the way the starters have done it.
You know, the Tigers stayed the course in the game. Hiroki Kuroda, he was tremendous, working on 3 days rest. He had won 11 games at Yankee Stadium, and he had done his best work during the daylight. But the Tigers didn't do much against him until the 7th inning. He finally got a ball up in the strike zone, and there was Quentin Berry with Granderson playing shallow in center field. He hit the ball over his head, and for me, the next hitter, one of the best at-bats of the game, Miguel Cabrera, in an unselfish way, doing everything that he could do to get something to hit the opposite way, which he finally did, and he got rewarded with a base hit. Look at where this pitch is. This ball is down, it is south of the knees, and somehow the big guy gets a piece of it, and then he gets Jackson over to third base. Berry, excuse me. Prince, he was a little bit over-aggressive. He struck out, but then Delman Young hustling down the line. Robbie Cano, he knew he had to really hustle here, and he did not get the ball out of his glove cleanly. So give the Tigers a lot of credit for really waiting out Kuroda in the game. And then when he finally got some balls up, they had the right guys in place to put at least 1 run on the board, and that proved to be the difference, although they scored a couple of more.
And Simo, the Tigers have been able to scratch out a couple of runs the last few days, but how about the at-bats the last 2 nights from Avisail Garcia? Boy, has he come up in some big situations.
Just a young guy that knows how to swing the bat. Obviously, we talk about how he stays around Miguel Cabrera, how he just, anywhere Miguel goes, he goes. He stays inside the ball so well, driving balls the other way. And this is just a prime example of having a great approach. Look at this cutter inside here. He keeps his hands inside, drives it through the middle. Then today he comes up big, pinch hit off the bench, cold a little bit, gets him another 0-1 pitch and stays inside this ball. Guys, right-hand hitters, if you want to hit at this level, you have to stay inside the baseball and give Garcia a lot of credit. This kid is ahead of the game.
All right, guys, still a lot more to get to with the fellas coming up here on Tigers Live. But up next on the big show, we'll take you inside the clubhouse. More interviews to come from the field with John Keating. We'll also take you to Jim Lehman's post-game press conference as the Tigers head back to Detroit with a 2-0 series lead over the Yankees. But, you know, winning Game 1 carried more than its usual significance for the Tigers. They're 3-0 all-time in playoff series when winning Game 1 on the road. And teams that win the first 2 are 19-3 all-time in the ALCS. Alex Avila likes the sound of that, and he's with John Keating as we send you back to Yankee Stadium.
All right, Mick, thanks. How good does taking the first 2 at Yankee Stadium sound to you?
It feels great. I mean, you know, we're putting ourselves in a good position right now.
This was tough. I mean, every game here in the Bronx is tough. How were you able to control their offense through the first 2 games?
I mean, they have a tough team, you know, 1 through 9 professional hitters, superstars. guys, I mean, you can't let up at all. And, you know, Sanchez deserves all the credit. I mean, you know, doing what he did today, being able to throw everything for strikes, you know, being able to locate, mix it up. He did a great job today.
Most of the focus was on Kuroda. What made Sanchez special as he was enjoying a parallel terrific start?
Yeah, I mean, you know, both of them were pitching great. Kuroda's stuff was unbelievable today. He had that sinker and split finger working real good. Plus, early in the game, really tough to hit with the shadows. And but his stuff was absolutely nasty. And for Sanchez to keep us in there, you know, long enough to be able to scratch a couple out for him. We haven't given him much run support since he's been over here, but you know, he's definitely made the most of it.
Your team has been in a tough stretch. How welcome is the day off tomorrow?
I mean, everybody's looking forward to it, that's for sure. I mean, I was thrilled that this game was going to be a 4 o'clock game, and you know, we'll be able to get home at a decent hour and actually relax a little bit.
Enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you.
There's Alex Avila. He and the Tigers taking a big 2-love lead home to Comerica Park. Mick.
All right, John, thank you very much. Up next on Tigers Live, we'll take you to Jim Leland's post-game press conference. The skipper will share his thoughts on a long but fruitful weekend in New York, and we'll bring you more from the clubhouse as well when we come back. Last night's 12-inning game was the most innings the Tigers have played in a postseason game since the 1945 World Series. The 4 hours and 54 minutes it took to play was the longest postseason game in Tigers history, eclipsing the 4-hour, 25-minute, 11-inning affair with the Rangers in last year's ALCS. But if all goes well, the Tigers won't have any more weekends to spend in New York this season, and that would be just fine with Jim Leland, who's at the podium now, back in the Big Apple.
I thought both starting pitchers were absolutely terrific. I haven't seen that much of Kuroda. I thought he was terrific, and Sanchez was matching him inning for inning. You know, we didn't have a hit through 5 there, I guess it was. You know, he changed speeds. Sometimes through this when you're looking for that, and vice versa, that when you're looking for this. I'm talking about Sanchez, and he was terrific. I mean, this is a tough place to pitch with a tough lineup and a short porch and a whole bunch of left-hand hitters. It's not easy. That was quite a feat.
Lynn?
Scraping together runs hasn't always been easy in some of these well-pitched games. What did you like today from your team in that regard?
Well, I just thought we hung in there and we took advantage of a couple things, and Garcia was able to muscle one in there. You know, he didn't hit it hard, but he hit it in the right place. And some of the, you know, those things are some of the things you need in postseason play. You know, you never know how it's going to play out, but you know, a little blooper here or there. You know, I thought you know, Miggy came alive pretty good. I thought Prince had a great at bat against Rapata. You know, we played good in a tough place to play against a great team. So you got to be very happy with that.
Jason?
Jim, we were talking after last night's game about, you know, 2 big plays from Peralta. He comes up big again in the field. Just, is this about as good as you've seen him fielding-wise this year?
I think Peralta's playing better than he has all year. Right now, I think he's playing better than he has all year. Knock on wood. He's made some great plays. The barehanded play in that one inning was absolutely a fantastic play. So I think right now he's probably playing better and moving better than he has all year.
Buster?
Jim, Joe Girardi was just in here, and he referenced the call that Jeff Nelson made. On replay, it appeared that he missed the call, and Joe came out very strongly saying we need more instant replay. You're an influential voice in general. What are your feelings about replay?
Well, I've been on record several times. I think that, and it happened right here, in fact, I would be in favor. I don't want to make this a total replay game. I don't think that's good for the game. But I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Maybe I know the Detroit writers have heard this, so bear with me. I really believe, like, once the ball goes to the outfield grass, fair or foul would be a replay to put in. And my point is that the game's 9-1. A guy hits a home run that looks like it's a home run. They go check the replay, and it is a home run, and it makes the score 10-1. However, it happened here, I believe, against Minnesota. A couple guys on base and a ball down to the outfield toward the line, but literally this much fair. They don't replay something like that in the 8th inning of a tie game and the 7th game of a playoff. I would be all in favor of that because that was a huge call. And so I would be in favor of something like that, but I also don't want to make this a game where we're checking with somebody else all the time, you know, because then people are going to say, you know, safe or out. I'm not for that. I like the human element, to be honest with you. The umpires do a great job, And at the same time, sometimes they go for you and sometimes they go against you. That's just the way it is, but that's the human element of the game. But I would like to see fair or foul on the grass. I know you can't do it on a ground ball because over the bag and the third baseman catches it, the umpire says foul, and then you replay it was fair. Well, the guy didn't even throw the ball, so that would be difficult. But any ball in the air that goes to the outfield, I think if it's questionable, you need to check it because, like I said, it could be a tie game in the 8th inning of the World Series, 7th game. I think it would make sense to check that. That's just my opinion.
Take just 2 more if there's anything. Bill?
Jim, well, this was day 1 of your closer being fixed and not available to you, or at least in that role. So I was just wondering how you felt about the way your relievers performed today.
Well, we kind of, you know, sometimes the game falls in place for a manager and sometimes it doesn't. You know, it fell in place with Raul as hot as he's been. With Raul leading off in the 9th inning, it kind of fell into place. Then, you know, we know how dangerous Russell Martin can be. The numbers said that he hadn't hit lefties that great, so you get 1 more out there. It just worked out today. Sometimes it falls into place and other days it doesn't. But I want to reiterate a little bit what I said this morning. Jose Valverde will be an important part of this club in this playoff, or we're going to have a real tough time. And I also said that, you know, I would like, and I understand the situation, trust me. But I just hope that the people back home are, like I said, not too short-minded because this guy's been fantastic, and he's going to be an important piece in this whole scenario yet, in my opinion. You're going to need him. He's going to have to get a tough out for you at some point. So today it went fine because we were really lucky, to be honest with you. Things just fell in place the way the lineup set up, and you could let him face A-Rod because Granderson was on deck and you had a lefty for him. You know, if they get a couple guys on, then it becomes all, you know, a real tough scenario for a manager. And you're never going to be right because everybody, as Lynn was saying this morning, a lot of people believe in the, you know, it's a moving part, the closing thing. I don't believe in that. And the other thing is that if you use the closer like I did Valverde and it didn't work out, everybody wants to change the closer. But at the same time, what's going to happen when you go by committee, the next question is going to be, well, why did you use Dotel instead of Albuquerque? Why did you use Albuquerque instead of Koch? Why did you use – that's what's going to happen next. And it's kind of fun, but it's pretty nice to have a closer. And like I said this morning, these guys have had the best of all time. And I'm sure Joe Torre would tell you that was a pretty nice luxury to have because you never got second-guessed bringing in Mariano Rivera.
Jim just had a great argument with himself there. I'm not sure who won, but at the very least, the 8th and 9th innings were uneventful today, and that was nice for a change, guys. And you wouldn't know it for the most part, but listening to Jim speak there, but you got to believe he's thrilled to be coming home up 2-0.
Well, he's got to be. I mean, especially with the fact that it'll be Justin Verlander in Game 3 coming up at Comerica Park in a day. And, you know, the one thing that kind of struck me about this ball game is that Jim Leyland had to be a little bit worried. Hiroki Kuroda came out of this game, retired 15 straight. He's probably thinking, oh, my goodness, we've got a perfect game going here. But it just still is kind of mind-boggling the way the Tigers' starting pitching has been able to knife right through a pretty good lineup.
They've been outstanding. There's no debate about that. But the one thing that Jim continues to talk about, and that's his closer, Jose Valverde. And I think what he is trying to get across to the fans here in Detroit is that he does not want his fans booing Valverde when they come back to Comerica Park up 2 games to none. I think that's the message that he's trying to get across to our fans. Although the fans could do whatever they want to, I know that Jim is bracing for that for Valverde.
But Craig, I mean, I think Jim's right. We have not seen the last of Jose Valverde in these playoffs. He will be called upon at some point in the postseason.
Well, he's getting him ready. Obviously, they're going to tweak some things and then get him back to the position where he was doing as well as you could ever imagine that a closer could do. It's a special and a tough role to be a closer and to come in and get those last 3 outs. But I also love what he's talked about with the defense. Peralta is playing at an all-time high on some defense, and I talked about it early in the pregame shows where defense is going to be important, and the guys have been playing really good defense.
And hell, let's forget about Valverde for a minute. The Tigers are coming home up 2-0 against the Yankees. I mean, that's the silver lining in all of this, of course. Still much more to come from the Bronx following the Tigers' Game 2 win over the Yanks. We'll also check out what you were saying on Twitter, and we'll catch up with Quentin Berry, who just keeps finding ways to make a difference in every game he's in.
Double to sort of get your team going. In your opinion, how much did that mean to your team, which had really been scuffling for any kind of offensive spurt?
Well, you know, he was throwing the ball really well. So, you know, to lead off the inning with a double, you know, I think, you know, it gave us a lot of energy. And with those guys coming up behind us with Miggy and Prince, you know, we felt we were in a really good situation. And, you know, both sides weren't swinging the bats very well against these pitchers because hats off to our side and their side. You know, Sanchi was throwing the ball just as well. So we both knew runs were going to be at a minimum, so try to get it right there. It was a good chance.
You must have thought for all the world that had triple written all over it until it bounced over the fence.
Yeah, I thought I had a shot once I rounded first, but I saw it go up into the net, and I thought it might have cost us a little something, but it ended up working out.
All right, so your team is up 2-0 as the series goes back home. What's the feeling like in this clubhouse?
This is where we want to be. It's the best place we want to be right now. Go home, up 2. Just can't take it for granted. You know, got to keep pushing, got to keep grinding, and, you know, got to take advantage of the situation.
Are you surprised you're up 2? This is a tough place to win.
It's a tough place, but, you know, we got a great team. We got a great ball club, and our pitcher staff has been doing great, especially our bullpen coming in here, Coke throwing the way he did today, and Smiley yesterday, man. Hats off to them. So we keep playing like this. I don't know if anybody can get us.
It's a little easier to win ones like these as opposed to ones like last night?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you don't have to go through the ups and downs. You know, you can get on top and stay on top. That's where you want to be. So we'll take a win, though, any way we can get it.
Q, thanks. Mick, back to you.
All right, John, thank you very much. Phil Coke and a smile. The former Yankee was perfect in the Bronx this weekend. We'll hear from the Tigers' lefty reliever when Tigers Live continues from the Call Sam studio. Destiny involved with the 2012 Tigers, and then Tigers World Series 2 games away. Well, yeah, when you put it like that, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? You know, Tigers starting pitchers have been brilliant so far in this postseason, and Phil Coke so far has been their biggest star out of the bullpen. 4 2/3 innings pitched in the playoffs. He's allowed 2 hits and nothing else. It's made him a popular subject in the Tigers clubhouse as we send it back to New York.
Oh, it was awesome. It was fun.
Did you
How you doing, man?
Good. It's good to see you. Yeah, congrats.
How you doing?
Good. What I saw from upstairs, it looked like it was almost like you just wanted to be out there, and if you had any thoughts, maybe bringing somebody else in. It's like this guy doesn't want to come out. I mean, that's almost what it looked like.
I was trying to state my case to the skipper, let me stay in there without saying a word to him. So, no, I mean, it's ultimately going to be his decision. I mean, depending on how the game's going, what's occurring. I felt really good. I felt really confident in what I was doing, and Alex made the right calls, and we got it done.
Is this sort of a weird spot? I mean, everybody's used to Valverde being the closer, and he's going through a rough time, and he's trying to fix some things on the side. How does everybody else in the bullpen kind of react to it? Because you don't want to see him struggling, but on the other hand, you know that you're going to be counted on. You know?
We just got to pick him up. I mean, if somebody's struggling, we got to come in and do our job and pick him up. I mean, I'm not worried about Jose. I think he's got himself figured out where he needed to be today during batting practice. So I'm confident that he's going to be good to go, and he'll be back to his old self.
Did you guys sort of get a feel as to what he did today, working with Jeff, and maybe?
No, I mean, he was doing what he needed to do. Everybody was, shagging balls and stuff like that. Nobody was like in there with him other than Jeff Jones and the bullpen catcher. So he was doing what he needed to do for him, and good for him. And I'm excited for when he takes the ball next.
I mean, what sort of makes you know him very well from being around him all the time? What sort of makes you feel like he's a guy who can get it back on track very quickly?
Absolutely. I think he absolutely has the ability to get back on track really quickly because, number one, he's a closer. That's what they do. They have a bad game, they get it figured out, and they go back out there and they do their job. That's the name of the game. That's what he's got to do, and I'm fully confident in the fact that he's going to do it. What kind of teammate would I be if I wasn't confident in?
Yeah.
You know, not a good one.
Yeah.
When you came in the game.
From Phil Coke, we go to Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Big spot in this game after that blown call at second base, which should have ended the inning. The Tigers take advantage of the extra opportunity when Garcia blooped one into right, scoring Omar Infante, giving the Tigers a big 2-0 lead on their way to a 3-0 win and a 2-0 series lead over the Yankees. The Tigers, of course, still know they have a lot of work to do, but they're in much better shape than the Yankees right now. Manager Joe Girardi's post-game comments on the way when Tigers Live continues right after this.
regular season. But take a look at Peralta in last night's game. This was when Pfister was pitching in stress. In the very first inning, he stretches out, he dives, he gives Omar a real nice feed. They get the force to get out of the inning, and then he came back next inning, same scenario. Bases are full, and he barehands the ball. As you mentioned, Mario, he is not very flashy, but he felt like in last night's game and also in today's game, the only way that he could get the out was going to the bare hand. He watched it into his hand. He gave Fielder a really nice firm feed over to first base, which he always does. His arm is so accurate. And really, the last couple of years, the only other shortstop that has committed fewer errors is J.J. Hardy of the Baltimore Orioles. So Peralta is as good as gold right now.
Yeah, and Mick, when you look at Johnny Peralta, he's not as flashy as Rod said, as like an Elvis Andrus and Alcides Escobar at Kansas City, but he makes the plays. He committed only 7 errors all season long, and Jim Leland is always talking about, give me that guy that makes the routine play, and he's done it and more in this series.
2 more hits today as well, also hitting, what, 556 now in this series. So Johnny Peralta getting it done at the plate and in the field. Another guy that always gets it done in the field, Austin Jackson. Just 1 error in center field this year. He's with Giant Kitties, and we take you back inside the Tigers clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we prepared well for it, and, you know, it's tough coming in to Yankee Stadium and getting those wins, but we were able to do it, and, you know, just try to do the same thing, carry this momentum over into Detroit.
Were you surprised that it seemed like it never really got that loud today? You guys kept it real quiet in this building.
Well, I think Sanchez did a great job of, you know, holding them down and keeping us in the ball game. I think that had a lot to do with it. You know, it took us a while to get going, but like I said, Sanchez kept us in the ball game, and we were able to get something going, and he kept it going.
To see him walking around, he's kind of a quiet dude, but man, he was on fire out there. A lot of emotion that he was showing.
Yeah, he was definitely pumped up, and we feed off that. You know, we like to see that from the pitcher. You know, when he's up there pumped up, you know, about what he's doing, that definitely gives us some motivation on the offensive side.
Was he almost helped because Kuroda has had a rolling today, and he was doing his job rather, or at least a little bit more quietly?
Yeah, it was tough to get something going off of him, but you know, once we kind of got runners in scoring position, we were able to kind of scratch some runs across, and like I said, Hannibal kept us in the ball game, and then the bullpen handled their business too.
How much did that first hit off Kuroda mean for your team, just to get off the schneid?
Just to get something rolling. He was definitely, you know, had us off balance, you know, those first couple innings, and we couldn't get anything going, but you know, we kept swinging it, and we got something going.
Are you surprised you won the first 2 here in the Bronx?
Not really. You know, we're capable of doing that, and you know, I think we have a good enough team to do that. And you know, it's tough, but you know, we kept battling and we got those wins.
How much does it mean to be up 2-love, knowing you've got Justin Verlander pitching Game 3 at home on Tuesday?
We definitely have a lot of confidence, but you know, we've been in this position before, and you know, we're just going to try to keep playing with that intensity and get the win.
Looking forward to the day off?
Definitely. You know, rest the legs a little bit.
Thanks, AJ.
How much does the Oakland?
We need to rest our legs, too. We're here in the Coliseum. Up next on Tigers Live, we will look ahead to Game 3 Tuesday at Comerica Park. Justin Verlander is up next. How much trouble are the Yankees in now? We'll discuss when we come back.
Your ticket to the Tigers
is simply the best pitcher on the planet. I can't wait until Tuesday night. Comerica Park will be bananas down there. The fans will be into it, and Justin Verlander will be into it as well.
22 Ks for JV in his first 2 playoff starts. And with that, we're 2 games into this ALCS. The Tigers coming home for 3, 4, and 5 beginning on Tuesday night. We'll see you for Tigers Live beginning at 7 o'clock. Once again, the final from New York, the Tigers 3, the Yankees zip. We'll leave you now with the final take. Thanks for watching. Good night, kids.